Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Double Kick podcast. We double the kick, we double the games, and we double the friends we make along the way. I am one half of today's podcast, Terry Thompson, joined for the first time to a first time being on Double Kick, but not first time experienced Double Kick because he's a huge fan and a great friend to Dan and I. He has a full head of hair and a full head of thoughts most of the time. Our good friend Patrick Kernan. Pat, how's it going, my man?
Good. How about you? Thank you for having me. You guys have talked about me multiple times on the show.
Every time Nubby's Number Factory comes up, it's like, yeah, Pat just recommends these games, and Dan tries to get into them. It don't work
Yeah,
out too well.
yeah. I got the roguelike brainworm, so I'm always recommending that kind of stuff. And I don't know if it really hits Dan the way that it does for me, but we have opposite kinds of ADHD.
Absolutely. And that's the beautiful thing about it
Right.
too. It's just like we're all into very different kinds of games, and like we can all talk about them to each other and like experience different worldviews on video games, I
Absolutely.
guess. That's the cool part about it.
Definitely.
Um, Pat, I was not trying to, I was thinking about things before the show, and I'm like, how long have I really known Pat? And I mean, it's coming up on, see, 2014 was my first year of college. So it's about, what, 12 years, 11, 12 years
Yeah,
since
man.
I've known you, man.
And that, God, I just hate that.
I,
I just like I saw people saying the other day that my graduating class from Marywood graduated 10 years ago last week.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that made me feel old. My 10-year high school reunion that I didn't go
Mhm.
to, that didn't make me feel old, but this one did.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. Like my 10-year one, same thing. Like 10
Mhm.
years, like, oh, that was gonna happen. But
Yeah.
now we're approaching the 10 year of college. I'm like, wow,
Hmm.
decrepit really kicks in very
Yep.
quickly.
Yep.
But I guess you can look at it positively, and it's, not a lot of people make it this far
Well,
sometimes.
yeah, I mean, that's one positive way to look at it. I thought you were going to
Right?
say like 10 years of wisdom and growth and
Oh yeah,
adulthood.
yeah. Yeah, that too. That too.
But
That
on the
too.
other hand, at least we're not dead.
At least we're not dead. Where people in the Middle Ages, this is kind of as far as they made it sometimes,
That is true.
in
That is
on an
true.
average, right?
Right.
Anyway, Pat, you know, I wanted to start off this double kick episode because you and I have a similar type of brainworm when
Mhm.
it comes to a very, I want to say niche, but I feel like it's becoming not as niche these
Yeah.
days. But maybe it still lies within a certain circle of gamers. But you and I are the two people in our friend group. You are the one person that I can really go to, when a new retro game core video comes out, when
Mhm.
a new emulation handheld comes out that looks weird and is running a weird version of Linux, or when a new emulation station like software comes out, because you and I have that same brainworm for these
Mhm.
emulation handhelds. Am I correct in
Oh, yes.
assuming that?
Yes, definitely. It is a bit of an obsession for me. Um, every time there's like, some new hotness, as Russ from Retro Game Core loves to say,
Hmm.
I always have to fight off the urge to buy, the latest handheld. But yeah, and it is something that I think we both, really seem to love. And I was wondering kind of like what got you into it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
I was wondering the same thing, so I'll ask you later. I guess we can go
Okay.
both get into
Yeah,
our
yeah,
little like beginning of the lore.
yeah.
I guess my first, where it really started for me was my first jailbreak of my, iPod
Mm,
back in, like, when I was, like, a freshman in high school. So I had, like, an iPod Touch as all kids had at the time, and I jailbroke it, which, I plugged it into my laptop, installed some software on it and, like, kinda, like, opened up the iOS to, like, being able to download third-party apps. And so I watched like a YouTube tutorial on how to download a very early like Game Boy Advance emulator at that
mhm,
time. And I thought that was crazy. I'm like, what do you mean you can play like Game Boy Advance games on a non-Nintendo anything at the time?
yep,
So, I threw it on there. I threw Pokemon Emerald. That was the first ROM I ever installed. And I started playing it and I made my team and just like the ability to have Pokemon in my pocket on an iPod at the time and just take it to school and play it like during lunch and all that was crazy to me. I thought that was like the most insane thing at the time. And then that kind of evolved later on, then emulation handhelds really started kind of like taking off during like 2020,
mhm,
2021 ish era. And then my first like kind of dedicated emulation handheld I got was like one of the early Ambernicks. I think it was like the 35XX or something. The one that kinda looked just like a regular, like, vertical gray Game Boy, you know?
mhm, yep,
Mm, and then, that one could play, like, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, most of the kinda early stuff like that, so I was, like, messing around with that stuff, and then, obviously, as time goes on, as we will talk about, the big boy stuff, like the Portal, and then the Thor starts coming out, so I started
mhm,
getting into, like, "Oh, I'm not just emulating, like, Game Boy, now we can do, like, PS2." I mean, this all started with, like, the Steam Deck as well, let me just throw that in there,
right,
so the Steam Deck was like a big gateway into like the bigger stuff. So like the PS2, the GameCubes, even like the Wii U and all that. But
mhm,
we'll get into all that. But yeah, it really started with that iPod like freshman year of high school, just
that's
throwing that on
interesting.
there. Yeah, man, it's weird how like the gates can open up in very different ways.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
and
what
it
about
it
you?
seems like it seems like you got into, like, the modding side way earlier than I did, because
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me, what it was always about for me was that I just love handhelds,
Hmm.
and I always have. Like, I've always preferred playing video games on a handheld over, um, a console or on desktop or whatever.
Hmm.
Just I don't know, it's always felt like way more of like an intimate experience to use kind
Sure.
of a weird sort of word, but like I don't know, something about like the screen being like 6 inches away from your face and like the buttons like I don't know, it just makes it feel like so much more contained, and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was always easier for me to like I don't know, get immersed when it's like something that I have in my pocket.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I've always just like really gravitated toward that kind of experience. And so I loved my Game Boy Advance. That was my first one, my first handheld that I had. Then I had the original Fat DS.
Oh, nice.
I had the Mario Kart one. Uh,
Oh,
so
dude.
it came with Mario Kart and it was red. And I loved that thing. I miss it so much. But
Absolutely.
then I traded it in, and I got the DSi, which was cool
Mhm.
because then that exposed me to like a whole bunch of indie games that like weren't anywhere else. And then I eventually got the 3DS, and then and traded in the DSi for the 3DS.
Mhm.
And then I got the 3DS XL. No, the new 3DS XL. See,
Oh, ooh,
yeah,
baby.
yeah, yeah, yes, because I wanted like Xenoblade or Xenogear, whatever it is.
Sure.
Um, yeah, I was like super into that kind of stuff, and then I also was like one of the 6 guys in the United States that bought a Vita. uh, yeah, and
You
that
bought it
kind of
you bought it, like, while it was new, right?
yeah, like new-ish,
Yeah.
like I bought it like 2 or 3 years after it had already been out. Like I bought it,
Mhm.
I bought it in the stage where like the writing was on the wall that it
So,
was a failed console.
you bought it
Um,
after PlayStation gave up on it.
Yeah, yeah, but it was like a really interesting period because it was like I mean, I was able to get it like a little bit cheaper, but it was
Right.
still getting filled with like, weird JRPGs.
Mhm.
and also, and I think this is the more important thing, and we're actually going to be talking about two games today that I only know about essentially because of the Vita. But yeah, it was like kind of like an early space for indie games, like not on PC. Like before
Mhm.
every indie game ended up on Switch, they were coming to the Vita. Um, so yeah, it was just like a really cool way to, um, I don't know, experience some things that I wouldn't have otherwise. And I love my Switch, because it gives that same sort of experience, that handheld experience. But
Yeah.
it's just so big. It's just so big that you can't put it in your pocket, And it's like
Sure.
was always part of the appeal to handhelds for me. Not that, I mean, especially now that I'm 32 years old and work from home. It's not like I have a lot of like time to play a game when I'm carrying it around with me. But it's like
Sure.
there's just something like, I don't know, kind of comforting about like knowing that I have the ability to. You know what I
That's
mean?
exactly how I view it too. Like, I'm
Mhm.
always carrying, like, this Miu Mini, like, little Game Boy around with me, and I never use it out in
Yeah.
public because I never
Right.
have time. Because 'cause I'm always just like, I go from place to place, and I'm not sitting down too often. But it's like, "Yeah, but I always have it with me just in
Mhm,
case."
mhm. Yep, exactly. So, yeah, so I was kind of like primed for once this like retro handheld space kind of like really started taking off, and like in my experience, it seems like it really blew up on YouTube.
Mhm.
Like, first, like, it seemed like, I don't even remember who it was that got pushed to my algorithm first. I forget if it was Russ from Retro Game Core or if it was, like, Bob Wolf or who, but, in 2020, this is when I first started. It was
Mhm.
a COVID hobby for me. I got
Sure.
the Retroid Pocket 2, and that's when I figured out, like, how to get ROMs and, how to do some of the tinkering and stuff like that. Um, and yeah, and it's just been like a really cool experience to be able to, return to some of these older games. I haven't. I think you've probably bought a lot more of these handhelds than I have.
Yeah,
Um,
don't tell my fiance, please.
yeah, yeah, oh, I know. But I still have the Retroid somewhere. I haven't used it in years, but it's in a drawer somewhere.
Mhm.
I also got one of the Ambernick RG, whatever. One of it's a
One of the yeah.
yeah, it's God only knows what they call it, but it's like a sort of like what you said. It's like a vertical Game Boy, but one of the ones without analog sticks.
Mhm.
But my most recent purchase, because I was really, the era that I'm probably most nostalgic for is the DS and 3DS era.
Mhm.
What I was dying for was a two screen handheld, um, because like sure you can play DS games on some of these one screen things, but
Mhm.
it's just not great because you
Yeah,
either have
it's
to
not
have the
pretty.
screens side by side or do like a picture in picture sort of thing or like swap back
Mhm.
and forth between the screens, and that's just a compromise no matter what. So I was just like dying for a two screen handheld, and then last year like three of them came out. um,
That's
so,
really true. It
yeah,
did kinda, like, sequentially come out at the
yeah.
same time.
So there was, what was it? The Ion Neo. What is that called? The Pocket
A
DS.
Pocket DS? I believe
Yeah.
so?
I mean,
Mhm.
people seem to say that that one is great, but it's like $1,000. So I was
Yeah, and
like,
that one's, like, really big too.
yeah, I
Maybe
didn't
not really
even.
big, but bigger.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that one too hard. But then
Sure.
there was the Ambernick has one that's like a budget friendly version. It's like $100,
Mhm.
that apparently doesn't run 3DS games that well. So I was
Right.
like, well, I don't want that one. And then there is the Thor, which I am sure people listening to this may have seen on the internet because I feel like this is the one that has kind of broken containment, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. Yeah, and I was talking about this with you and Travis, like, a
Mhm.
while ago, but it does really feel like this one kinda, like, maybe not broke out of the niche bubble completely, but it definitely, like I see it all over, like, TikTok, just from,
Yeah,
like, casual, casual gamers,
right,
as whatever that means, but, like, from people I wouldn't expect, to see having, like, or boasting about, an emulation handheld, which is really
right.
cool to see.
Yeah, yeah, it is cool that it's like, the normies have grabbed onto it,
You're
so
right,
to
right.
speak. But yeah, no, it's like, and it just like hit that perfect sweet spot because it's like there's a couple of different versions of the Thor, um, that like range between like 300 to like 500, so you can kind of
Mhm.
like get the version that works for you. I got one of the ones kind of somewhere in the middle there. Um, and my God, it has been just absolutely amazing. And it has been so cool to just like return to all the like um, PlayStation and DS
Mhm.
and 3DS and all these games from my youth with like super upscaled resolution
Oh,
and
yeah.
like all these shaders to make it look like you're playing on a CRT TV, all
Mhm.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, so tell me a little more about it, like, I'm familiar with, AYN. I had
Mhm,
the Mini back in the day, and then I sold that to Dan to get the Portal. So I'm
mhm.
kinda more of their, like, just horizontal square kind
Yeah.
of like handheld. I just kind of the one screen. That's kind of like what I kind of like stick to. And I'm
Mhm.
loving the Portal, but obviously the AYN Thor is like such a different experience. Have you found like are do the emulators like the DS emulators and 3DS emulators do they kind of just work pretty seamlessly with the two screens? Have you had like any compromises or anything over them
Um,
over the last few months, I
so
guess?
seamlessly now is what I
Okay.
would say. It like with any of these things, it definitely requires some setup,
Mm,
but it was the kind of thing that like I'm not I'm not entirely the best with like computers. So it was I just followed a guide on like how to set these apps up.
mhm,
Like because when you just start up, like when you first download the DS or 3DS emulators, it wants to put both of the images on the same screen.
right.
But then when you go into the settings, you can kind of like finagle it to get it to like globally do like a two screen setup for every game. So that takes like, I don't know, 10-15 minutes of setup to do that, like when you first get it all set up. But since then, I haven't had any issues with it.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah.
pretty sick. Yeah, I've heard that, like, when the Thor first came out, that, like, having a two-screen Android device, like, Android's kinda, like, not used to having, like, two screens being connected
Yeah.
at once, so, like, that was one of the concerns. But it seems like, throughout the time the Thor has been out, that the emulators have, like, really caught up. Like, there's been certain forks of, like, the DS emulator that will just come pre-installed knowing you have 2 screens,
Right.
and stuff like that, like, the emulators will catch up as the
Yeah.
hardware
And
comes out.
and it's like the two screen thing, like it kind of seems like it's improving from a bunch of different angles. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Like there's improvements coming down on AYN side on the firmware. There's improvements coming down like if you get like the custom front ends or whatever. But
right.
then also just like at the Android level, there's more phones that have two screens now.
Mhm, that's
Like
true.
the foldables that have like a screen on the outside. So it's like Android is just in general getting a little bit better at handling the two screen thing. It's actually interesting. In the settings of the Thor, it says that the bottom screen is actually an external screen. Like
Oh,
that's just the way that Android thinks about it. It's like one of them is on the inside, one of them is on the outside.
okay.
So yeah, just because of like the foldable phones and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, no, that makes sense, that makes sense.
yeah, but it's like it's just been really great for obviously the two screen games, but you know, even when you're playing a game that's, a normal game that only has one screen,
Mhm,
it's just been really great to have that bottom screen for other stuff.
mhm,
Like the thing that people always say in the guides is like, or in the reviews rather, is like you can have a guide on the bottom screen for your
mhm.
the game that you're playing, or in my worst brain rot moments, sometimes I'll have some like low thought roguelike up top where I'm just, kind of, fiddling away at it. And then I'll have like
Uh-huh,
YouTube on the bottom with a podcast.
right.
you know?
I was
Uh,
gonna ask if you fallen into that, like, brain rot ADHD
yeah,
hole
yeah,
of
I mean,
YouTube on the bottom.
and, like, that's kind of what I did anyway, there's, like, certain games for me that I think of as podcast games or audiobook
Mhm.
games, something that I just have to, like, do with my hands while I'm listening to something else, and, like, the thing that I'm
For
listening
sure.
to is the main thing, so, yeah, it's been cool to, like, have a device that is, like, set up for that,
That's
um,
sick, dude. That's
yeah,
sick. That's one thing I'm really jealous of, just, like, having that being able to do something totally different on the bottom screen and then
yeah,
just, like, not having that interrupt your top screen, like, whatsoever. Just
exactly.
having that's such a unique, like, experience, and I think that's what's cool about, like, the emulation scene these days of it's just, like, where the big name consoles, they're coming out every 6 or, 6, 7, 6 or 7 years, and then, the iteration is kinda not coming to a halt, but it's kind of
Mhm.
like what to expect in some ways. But with these emulation handhelds, like they're coming out at such a rapid pace and they're evolving so quickly too that the Thor, as the the clamshell handheld has existed before, but like not in this fashion,
Right,
not where
right.
like you can play a game on the top screen and do something totally different on the bottom. Just like the innovation in this space is what's really exciting for me,
Mhm,
and I think that's why, me personally, that's why I enjoy it so much, and I like watching like every retro game core
mhm.
video, even if I'm not gonna like buy the next handheld. It's nice
Yeah,
to see like, oh my god, this is where we got within such a short amount of time. It's cool
right,
to
right.
see.
And it, like, I don't know, it reminds me of kinda like an older era of games, 'cause it just feels like in the modern era, it's like so much of the conversation around games is just so toxic and unpleasant
Hmm.
and negative just, like, all the
Hmm.
time, like, a new game will come out, and within, like, 30 seconds, somebody has already written a piece about how it's woke or whatever, you know?
Right, exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
so it's like it feels like the community around these games or these handhelds and things like that is just, like, really positive, really supportive of each other,
Hmm.
and just, like, really interested in, like, preserving and experience history.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's just I don't know, it's been a nice way to kinda, like, reconnect with what I love about the hobby and kinda, like, remove all of the nonsense, you know? Um,
yeah, yeah.
and
No, I agree.
yeah, and to return to, like, the multitasking thing, like, it's like I remember my first thought when I heard everybody saying that on the reviews is like, "Am I really gonna wanna, like, bring up a guide on the bottom screen or whatever?" But
Hmm.
it's just been, like, so great to, like, not have to reach for my phone to
Yeah.
Google, like, the guide or whatever, because I
Hmm.
noticed, like, every time that I did that, I would pull out my phone, and then I would see some push notification from, like, the Associated Press that's like, "Breaking
Yep.
news, the world is worse now." And it's like and now I'm thinking about that instead
Right.
of, what I was doing, so it's just been
Dude,
a
yeah.
good way to kinda, like, chill at the end of the day.
Yeah, man, there have been so many times I've been, like, streaming Persona 5 Royal to
Mhm.
my portal, and I have to pull up, a confidant guide because I wanna pick the right thing, but I'm like, I'm limited to 1 screen, so I gotta pull out my phone to do it.
Mhm.
It's the exact same thing you're talking about, just having that option to stay within that, like, that ecosystem of
Yeah,
just gaming and, like, staying focused and, having that option to pull something up on that bottom screen there,
yeah.
that's just really good. Have you done the super brain rot thing yet of playing, like, 2 games at once?
No. That feels like a step too far even for me. Um,
Sure.
I can see why, like, maybe some people, want that, but to those people, I would say what you really want is an Adderall prescription. That's what you need. Um,
That's so
'cause
fair.
I got one of those and it helps. But
Oh my god, that's so fair.
but no, I mean, like, I can definitely see, like, if you're into, like, certain kind of games, I can see that being, like I'm trying to say this a nice way. I can see that, like, if you're into, like, I don't know, like an idle game or whatever that is, like,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
kind of thing that, like, you just have to check in on, like, every half hour. have that
Mhm.
on the bottom screen while you're doing something else up top. Sure, but like I don't know, it just feels a little too
Sure,
beyond the
sure.
pale for me.
That's definitely a step in the you
Yeah,
wow, you're really going for it
yeah, uh,
area.
yeah.
Absolutely. With so I have an Anbernic RG Rotate on the way to me. I ordered it the day it came out. I'm really looking forward to mostly using it as kind of like an MP3 player. That's like one of the
Mm,
marketing things that it was,
yeah. And
they're trying to
what do
like
you
market it
tell
as.
people about, like, the shape of this thing and everything? Because
Yeah,
it's
yes.
crazy.
It's so cool looking and so weird. Like Anbernic's one of those like companies where like, their handhelds might not they're more like they're definitely the budget
Yeah,
brand of handhelds. But with this one, it's really cool. It reminds me of just like an early 2000s like phone. So it has when you look at it while it's closed, it's just like a square and it's the whole screen, but you can like rotate the screen in a nice like snappy fashion to the left. It'll like rotate 180 degrees and go to the top. And at the bottom, is the controls. So it's
mhm,
really hard to do it without like a visual, but it's just like flip the screen up or it rotates up, and then boom, you got like the D-pad and the
yeah,
ABXY button right there. And it looks really, really cool. And the snapping sound it makes when it rotates up and down is super satisfying.
mhm,
That's one thing I really like about Anbernic is they definitely get a little experimental. I don't love all their handhelds. I've gotten a couple of theirs that I really don't like actually.
yeah,
But I mean they're cheap enough to like justify like, you know what, I'm gonna spend a little bit of money. It's not the most, and if I don't like it, I'll sell it on marketplace and
right.
get a little bit of money back. So it's not like the worst investment ever. But but
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
and that
really go ahead, sorry.
well, I was just gonna say, I think that's kind of like an a point worth noting about this space because it's like the low end of these things, like, some of them you can find online for, like, 40 bucks, you know?
Oh
So
yeah.
it's like,
Hmm.
if you're listening to this and you haven't, like, tinkered in this space at all, like, you can get the cheap, like, some of the cheaper options for, like, the price of a AAA game.
Yeah,
Um,
that's such a great point.
and just kinda, like, tinker with it and see what you can do. And there's, like, so many guides and everything that you can follow on the internet that it's like, as long as you are able to follow directions, you
Mhm.
can get it set up and, really make it sing.
Yeah, yeah, and the emulators you install, like, they don't do all the work for you, but, like, once you download them and like Pat said, you can follow a guide and, like, get all
Mhm.
this done, like, within, like, 2 seconds, but, like, a lot of the emulators come just, like, with the default controls and setup, kinda like, ready to run your games as you, like, download them, so the barrier to entry these days, I feel like, is very, very low, and yeah, like you said, you
Definitely.
can find these, like, secondhand on, like, eBay or
Yeah,
Marketplace for, like, not for pennies, basically,
yeah.
and yeah, I mean, it's a hobby that I definitely recommend, like, getting into, um, but yeah, with this rotate coming in the mail, Pat, this, like, leads me to a question that I wanted to ask you that I kinda was, like, touching upon, but do you
Mm.
have like a favorite and a least favorite kind of like brand that does these like emulation handhelds for you?
Um, yeah, I mean, that's a bit of a tough question for me because, like I said, I've only bought 3 of them,
Mhm.
and each one has been from a different company.
Right.
So I had the Retroid. No, I've actually bought 4 of them. I forgot. I had 2 of the different Ambernic RG whatevers. They have
Mhm.
a whole line of these handhelds that basically have the same exact chipset inside of them, so they're all capable of doing the same thing, but they shaped them in a bunch of different ways. Um, so I forgot that I actually bought 2 separate Ambernic, I forget what they call it, but it's, like, basically a Game Boy Advance SP,
Mhm.
that, like, opens and closes, and the hinge broke on both of them. So, that's
Right.
that's not a great point in its favor, and so then I bought, the Ambernic one that is, just like a vertical Game Boy.
Mhm.
So I guess, like, you know, I have some nostalgia for Retroid just because they're the company that kinda got me back or got me into this space in 2020. Um, and it seems like they really do have a lot of fans, especially for their newer, like more Vita type or even like Switch Lite type handhelds.
Mhm.
Um, Ambernick, kind of like you, I've had pros and con experiences, so I guess they're
Yeah.
kind of middling. The Thor is like far and away my favorite, um, and might be my favorite handheld I've ever had, to be honest with you.
No, I hear
Um,
you. I hear you.
Especially like at this point, now that like I mean, in the past like 3 months, PC emulation on Android has like gotten so much better.
Mhm.
Um, so it's like I actually haven't played any like retro ROMs on my 4 in weeks. The majority of what I'm playing on it is Steam games.
That's so
So
cool.
yeah, it's just great to have like for like indies or even some like older or like lower powered like AAA games. Like you're not going to play Cyberpunk on it, but you
Right, right.
could play Skyrim. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like in that sort of sweet spot. But like for indies and stuff like that, which is most of what I like anyway. It's just been like so cool to have like a pocket sized Steam Deck, you know, uh, just to blast through like UFO 50 or whatever.
Yeah, you did. It's like we've come so far, and it's just like astounding to see
Hmm.
that. Like, they may not be the biggest PC games that you're emulating, but it's like
Right.
just being able to download your Steam version of Skyrim. I downloaded like Chrono Trigger onto mine, and
Hmm.
it just runs like
Yeah.
really well. And again, like they're smaller indie games, but they're games, not
Right.
PC games nonetheless, running on Android through what's it called? An emulation layer, basically.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy to see just how far we've come. And I think I agree with you. I think my Portal has been my favorite handheld of all time.
Hmm.
Surpassing even the Switch One, because I'm just like I'm playing like I'm emulating games. Obviously, I love like playing older games, but the
Hmm.
majority of games these days, I'm streaming my PC.
Mm.
My PC's in my second bedroom slash like office area. And when Mal and I are watching TV or something, or just chilling in the living room, I'm streaming my PC to my Portal, and it's like the Wi-Fi streaming is like super seamless. Like I'm playing like action games that require kind of precise inputs, and I'm having like no issues whatsoever with
Right.
latency or lag. And obviously I'm in the same house as my PC on the same
Right.
network, so that kind of, yeah, it contributes to a lot of that. But I mean, still, it's like it's this handheld. It can stream your PC. It can emulate your PC games. It can
Hmm.
emulate all your older games. And then we'll get into a little later, but there are like specific Android ports of like games that are coming out specifically for Android operating systems
Right.
that play flawlessly. So
Yeah.
it's such a cool experimental ecosystem with these handhelds and all that, that
Yeah.
it's cool to experience the here and now.
Yeah. 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 It's like it's a great time to be the kind of person who like is really interested in like the history of games and like the mechanics of games and all that kind of stuff. It's not a great time if you want to be the kind of person who actually finishes games.
Right, exactly,
But
exactly.
whatever. That's
Yeah,
never been me.
sure, sure. And it's maybe not the greatest time if you want to buy one of the higher end ones that have a little more RAM in them these days as
Yes,
well.
unfortunately, that is kind of
Unfortunately.
yeah. I feel like I bought my 4 at like the perfect time
Yep. Yep,
because I
yep, yep.
got because they had 4 versions of it, and I bought like the like the second best one, like the second
Mhm.
most expensive one. Um, and I think they just actually got rid of the most expensive option and
Yeah, I
have
think I saw
raised
that.
raised the prices of the one that I bought.
Mhm.
So
I
it's
think this
like
might be like second price raise too. Like I think I saw
yeah,
one earlier, so there might be another one on top of that.
right. So it's like with all the like Rampocalypse and all of that stuff going on, it is kind of like a tough time to be getting into this stuff
Yeah.
if you aren't already in it. But on the other hand, it's like, it doesn't seem like these RAM shortages are going to get better anytime soon. So
Mhm.
it's like, well, today isn't the best time. Tomorrow's going to be worse.
Right,
So, so if
exactly.
if you're gonna do it, like do it soon. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
which is a kind of weird place to be for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't affect the scene too much, because the prices are going to be going up across the board. I mean, and this even goes for like the major manufacturers. Switch 2 is getting their price increase
Hmm.
come September. So I mean, it kind of just is what it is across the
Right.
board. I hope it gets better, especially for this space. I don't want to see, you know, again, this space is growing, but it's still small. So I don't want to see it get whittled away before it can like really, take off to its
Yeah.
fullest extent. But I mean, I
Definitely.
guess we'll see, right?
Yeah, but on the other hand, it seems like a lot of the content creators and the homebrew developers and stuff like that, they're taking these hardware shortages as like inspiration to do cooler stuff with the software.
Mhm.
Like it feels like people are like figuring out ways to increase the longevity of their devices instead of just getting another one.
Sure. Sure.
Because that was definitely
Absolutely.
like the issue in this space, I think, for like a year or two. Like I don't know, what was it in 2024? Ambernick put out like nearly one new handheld a month for the
Yeah.
entire year. And that's unsustainable. So
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
it's like we might be swinging a little bit too far in the opposite direction, but I'm hoping we kind of come to a happy medium with it.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to look at it too, like, that I didn't think about because AYN, they're obviously more of, like, the higher end stuff, but, like, they kinda release very slowly. So their newest ones are, like, the Thor and the
Yeah,
Odin 3, but even before that, the Odin 2 Portal was, like, a year, maybe, like, a year and a half before those, so they released at, like, a very slow cadence, and even
yeah,
Ambernick, like, I feel like they've slowed down quite a bit too, like, I mean, they're still putting out more than, like,
right,
anybody, but I think it's like a slower cadence. So like, yeah, like kind of just, you know, slower output, give things time to develop, let the third party operating systems time to like catch up and all
right.
that. But
Yeah, and it's like it's causing a lot of improvements, I think, because even because I got my Thor like right before Christmas. Um, I've seen a ton of improvements on like the PC emulation. Like there are
Mhm.
games that I couldn't play when I first got my Thor, like Steam games that I can now. And
Right.
the hardware is the same. It's the only
Mhm.
thing that has changed is like the 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 PC emulation stuff. So it's
Mhm.
like these devices are getting better even after you already have them, which is kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, thank God for those like modders out there, for the people who like, definitely aren't getting paid for this kind of thing. I mean,
Yeah.
unless they are, they're like Patreons and stuff
Yeah,
like
like
that. But like,
Ko-fi pages and everything. Yeah, but
yeah,
it's so
exactly.
cool that all this is like open source and everything. It
Mhm.
feels like I don't know, it feels like being part of something.
It really does, it really
Yeah.
does, just, like, being in the mix of this really cool little scene of doing
Yeah,
things that, like, the things I'm doing on my portal and these days would've made, like, my 10-year-old mind absolutely explode,
absolutely.
right? Just, like even just playing, like, Kingdom Hearts 2 on a PS2, like, emulator in my hand, like, while I'm on the
Mhm.
go or, like, doing anything around the house, like, that would've made me as a kid just, like, froth at the mouth,
Yeah.
like, "What do
Oh, yeah.
you mean?" Ah, man, so good. We're living in a golden era sometimes.
Absolutely.
So I got to see the positive in things. But Pat, I'm sure this is something you and I could talk about at length for 3
Yeah.
hours, but
The
I
rest of the episode probably.
the rest of the episode. But we do have some games on the docket, so I guess we
Yeah,
could kind of like dive into those if you would want to.
absolutely.
Cool, cool. So I put together a little rundown and I put these two games that we're going to talk to together kind of here at the top because I feel like obviously they go together a little bit. So
Mhm.
I'm going to start off with my game, and this is a game that I brought to the show before with Dan. I think about God, it had to have been maybe like a year ago
Mhm.
because it dropped on Game Pass when I was still subscribed to it at the time, and I played it for a bit and I got I'm not pretty far into it, but I got a little ways into it. It's Metaphor Refantazio
Mhm.
for everybody out there listening. But I unsubscribed from Game Pass either during one of the price hikes or when Microsoft was just being Microsoft.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I obviously lost my progress with it and couldn't go back. But I saw it on sale semi recently for like 45% off or something like that. So I'm like, let me snag this and play it because, I love Atlas games. I love Persona games. And I really liked the time I spent with Metaphor. So I snagged it again. I played it to a point where I was during my on my Game Pass save, and then I got a lot further than that. So where I am right now, I in terms of like Atlas games and Persona games and all that, I completed the first dungeon,
Okay.
and I'm on my way to the second dungeon. So I'm in between the first and second dungeon. I'm doing kind of like actually wait. Yeah, yeah. I'm in between my first and second dungeon. I've kind of like started the second dungeon area, but then I had to like get pulled back out and kind of like my countdown timer has started. So it's like you
Okay.
have 14 days or whatever to complete this. As Persona games always go. So I'm doing like my little social links and grinding in between, and then eventually I'll go and complete the dungeon. But I mean, this game is really good, Pat. I mean, it
Yeah.
at its heart, it's an Atlas Persona game. So you still have got your social links, you've still got your like skills you need to improve. So kind of like the confidence and the confidence and charm and all that in
Mhm.
Persona games. But here you've got your like kingly qualities because your character is ultimately on a goal to become king of the land for certain plot reasons. So you've got like imagination, eloquence, bravery, and a couple other things. One of the cool things I like about this game, as opposed to some Persona games, is like when those traits go up. So when you get like 4 points in like bravery, you see the bar actually move up. So you kind of
Mm.
know how close you are to the next one,
Yeah.
as opposed to Persona where you're like, am I close to leveling this up or not? Because it feels like I've gotten 20 points in bravery so far and I'm still on level one, you know? Like
Yep. Yep.
there's only so many Big Bang burgers that I could eat.
Yes.
What are we doing
Definitely.
here?
Definitely.
Um, and on top of that, there's a bunch of quality of life features that I really like about this game. So no matter what, you whenever you hang out with one of your social links, you're gonna level up. Like
Mm.
there's not really like a bar. And it's like, oh, you might level him up, you might not, depending on what persona you have. It's like, no, if you hang out with him, your rank's gonna go up. And you don't have personas in this game. You don't have a bunch of different monsters. You have these things called archetypes. And this is something you might already know, and it's something the audience might already know, but
Yeah.
I guess I'll get into it just a little bit. But
Yeah.
each party member or each confidant social link you get, whatever you unlock, they unlock a certain archetype. And archetypes are the manifestations of I forget what they call it in game, but they are the personas in this game. But instead of your character getting, 1,000 personas, you get one archetype at a time. So you can think of them as like jobs in like Final Fantasy. You've
Mhm.
got the warrior, you've got the mage, you've got a couple different other ones, and each character in your party can swap these archetypes out. So if you want your warrior friend to go into a dungeon, but he's better set to be a mage in this dungeon, you can switch him out to a mage. You can switch yourself out to a different archetype, um, and so on and so forth. So it really plays into each other well there. Of certain combat situations require certain jobs, basically, kind of like Final Fantasy and all
Right.
that. But they have these abilities called synergy. So if your friend is a warrior and you're playing a mage, and there's a certain synergy between these two, you can like click the synergy and it does like a really big burst damage or whatever or a big healing pool. There's a bunch of different synergies for all the different classes. And the way this game works in battle, so instead of there's still enemy weaknesses to like fire, ice, and all that kind of stuff. But as opposed to Persona, where if you hit an enemy's weakness, you get to go again, you get you get turn icons. So you get like, say you get on the top of the screen, there are four like stars or whatever, and each star represents a turn. So if you attack somebody, that's one turn gone. And if you attack again, that's another turn gone. If you block, that's another turn gone, and so on and so forth. And once those stars run out, you're out of turns and it's the enemy's turn. And they get a certain amount of turn icons as well. But if you hit an enemy's weakness, instead of a turn going like instead of one turn being taken away fully, it'll turn into a smaller star, and will turn into a half a turn.
Right.
So if you're hitting enemies' weaknesses, your 4 turns that you had will now turn into 4 half turns. And then so what that basically means is like, you know, you can still use those turns again. It kind of adds on top of each other. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do a piss poor way of explaining this.
No,
Um,
I know what you're saying, it's like it and this is what I love about JRPGs, or at least certain JRPGs, and I feel like it's kinda becoming more of a thing to treat combat almost like a puzzle, you know what
yeah,
I mean?
yep.
Like,
Mhm,
I mean, I think the Persona games have always done that, um, or at least since 3 on, I haven't played 1
mhm,
or 2. But, like, the Octopath games are also like that, Bravely Default is like that, at least in the sense that, the combat is like a puzzle,
mhm.
and everything that you're trying to do is, like, exploit those combos and weaknesses as much as
Yeah,
possible, I
mhm.
just love that.
Yeah, I really like that too, and yeah, it really is like a puzzle because, at certain times in certain combat situations that I've had, it might not always be the best route to just aim for, like, enemies' weaknesses. Like,
Mhm.
there have been certain times where I'm like, "Okay, if I if I block with this character and then you can, like, pass your turn as well, and if you, like, pass your turn instead of, like, taking an action, that turn will also turn into a half turn icon.
Mm,
So I'm like, okay, if I pass with this character, it will go over to this guy who's second in line. He can attack this person, but not with the weakness because that's gonna, and there's so many different ways you could like brainworm this into thinking like, okay, and then maximize and
right.
min max your situation. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, another thing I love about this game is I'm playing on hard mode.
Mm,
And I've played Persona 3 Reload and I played Persona 5 Royale also on hard mode. And maybe like 10% of my combat interactions in those games, and maybe a little more, maybe like 25%, I really felt like, okay, I might I only ever felt like I might lose this, like, match or whatever a couple different times there. Obviously not during, like, the boss fights and stuff like
mhm,
that, but kinda just, like, grinding around and stuff like that. But in this game, in, like, Metaphor, it really ratchets up, like, the difficulty, like, almost every fight encounter I've had, even with, like, lower level mobs that are kinda, like, around my level that I, should feel like you usually feel like, "Okay fighting." It's like, I need to, like, really pick my moves effectively and not just like, eyes closed, like, let's just like pick one fight move and just like get this over with. Like you really need to like think about it too. Cool thing that this game does is when you're fighting, you can like attack mobs in the overworld. Like before you get into like a turn-based battle with them, you can run up to them. And if they're a lower level than you could like hit them in real time and they'll just disappear. Kinda
mhm,
like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, like, type, you can just, like, send your Pokemon out, they'll do their quick little battle. You won't engage, like, a turn-based battle, they'll just, like if they're lower level, they'll kill them, and then, like, you get the experience. So you can kinda do that thing in Metaphor. But if they're a higher level than you can like whittle them down. So like you approach them in the overworld, you'll hit them in real time, and then if you hit them enough without them hitting you, you'll stun them, and then you can start your battle. And then once you engage the turn-based battle when they're stunned, their health goes down to half. They're stunned. You definitely get that advantage. And this is something you really, really want to try and do because having that advantage obviously helps you out a ton, especially
mhm.
on hard mode. But if the enemy can do the same thing to you as well. So if they're a higher level than you and they attack you in the overworld, you start at a disadvantage. Uh, and Pat, I've been attacked like that maybe like 3 or 4 times, and I don't think I've survived like any of those like disadvantage encounters.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's something you really gotta like
yeah.
pay attention to.
Yeah. Now I actually I played maybe like 15 hours of Metaphor.
Oh, so you know exactly what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
talking about.
I was just letting you explain it for the benefit of the listeners, but
Sure.
like the and I only put it down because I happened to find the next game that we're talking about on sale,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
uh, that's what got me to put it down. But I do want to eventually get back to it.
Yeah.
Um, Unlike you, I like to play the Persona games on like medium, and then I usually end up putting it down to easy at a certain
Mhm.
point. uh, just because it's like I have like a really low barrier for frustration in a
Mhm.
story based game. You know, it's like
Mhm.
if I'm really into this story and the gameplay is preventing me from seeing the story, I'm just like, all right, screw it, I'm turning it down.
Totally
um,
understandable.
yeah, but even just playing it on medium, I noticed that, oh wow, metaphor is like a little bit harder.
It's
You know what
tough,
I
right? It's
Yeah,
tough.
yeah, and like just something about like because like normally in the Persona games, like for the protagonist, you have a lot of control over what he does,
Mhm.
but everybody else is like they keep the same persona throughout.
Right.
Metaphor, like allowing like everybody to sample from the same pool, it gives you like so much more to think about.
Mhm.
And it's like for some people, that's probably really good, but then I started feeling like analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
And that was like I only had like I didn't even finish the first dungeon yet. You know, I only have
Uh,
like 3 people in my party. And I'm like I have Hulkenberg, I have what's his name? Uh,
Stroll.
yeah, Stroll. I wanted to call
Mhm.
him Strauss, but Stroll and the protagonist. And
Mhm.
it's like even just with that, and with the limited amount of archetypes that I have so far, like I think I've only unlocked 4 of them. I'm like,
Mhm.
well, who should be what? And like, should I double up? Should I, so
Oh,
it's like,
dude, and it doesn't get any better, it just gets
oh, I'm sure.
worse.
Yeah. So how do you like? So you said that you're like on these or in like up to the second dungeon or
Yeah.
working your way up to it.
Mhm.
How do you kind of like approach that sort of analysis paralysis?
Yeah, yeah, because there are a ton of options, and
Hmm.
each, like, social link you unlock, they also unlock an archetype that you can use. With all my games, I try not to fall into a min-max pit hole
Yeah.
because, especially with JRPGs, you could just like, obviously max out your kit to the fullest extent. And I really just try to find like what I like and
Hmm.
just keep going with that. And like I know that that option is always there if I want to maximize it a little further, if I want to like put a little more thought to it. Um, but I just try to find like what I like and then just keep it pushing. And if it's working, sounds good. Let's just keep it
Yeah.
rolling. If it's not working, or if I could find something like that would work a little better, all right, then we'll change this class up. Then we'll like switch it around. But other than that, with all my games, especially with this one,
Hmm.
I try not to. I just try to consciously not fall in that hole too much because I think then like my experience will start to get ruined because like I don't
Yeah.
want to this game and all JRPGs require a lot of like obviously tactical thinking. Um, I don't want it to require the extra math on top of that.
Right.
And there are obviously people out there who like love doing that type of thing. And I
Right.
think this game, especially if you love figuring out what works with other ones and finding out the minutia of that, this game can like definitely account for that.
Right.
But I think that would definitely take me out of it and like make me not lose interest, but like, hurt my brain.
Right. Right. I hear you.
Yeah, usually, like, usually, not all the time, like, I've been doing switching up a little bit, but I'm usually just keeping Hulkenberg as a knight. I usually
Mm,
keep Stroll as his warrior. I switch the protagonist out a lot.
mm.
So, I switch from, like, I've been maining the healer class a lot
That's what I
to
was
unlock.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah, the healer's really
Mhm.
good, especially in that first dungeon.
Yeah.
Healer and mage, just so I can kinda account for, like, enemies, like, weaknesses. The mage has a bunch of different,
Mhm.
elemental options. But yeah, healer, mage, then I'm going back to seeker, which is the class, like, he kinda started with because the seeker can, like, boost everybody else's attack very well. He has a bunch of those, skills.
Mhm.
Um, but again, I switch Hulkenberg and Stroll out every now and then. I'll switch them out to like a new one just to account for some things. But most of the time, I'm keeping them who they are. But yeah, I mean, like this, I'm really enjoying it. I'm still early on by how and
You're
in
right.
Atlas terms,
Yeah.
and by early on, I mean I'm like 20 hours in.
Yeah, yeah. Just longer than certain AAA games, yeah.
Exactly.
That's the wildest thing to me. It's like there's, like, such a difference between, like, certain kind of gamers, you know? It's like, if you're the kind of person who, only buys the new Call of Duty every year, right? And
Mhm.
and you're just going through the 8-hour campaign, like that's a totally different experience than somebody who is playing like Persona who hasn't even finished the tutorial in 8 hours.
Right, exactly. You're
It's just
just getting your first party member in the first
mhm.
8 hours.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's wild.
how do you feel about, like, the awakenings in this game? I think they're really, really cool, like, when they unlock
Mhm,
their archetype or persona, like, Stroll's sticks with me a lot of where
mhm,
he like, everybody when they awaken, they have to like take their hand, plunge it into their chest, and they rip out this like metal heart. And
mhm.
then that has like a speaker on it. And this whole
Yeah,
game has to do with like, speaking to the people,
yeah,
fighting wrongdoings and all that, and making society better in however ways the character at the time feels they should. So
yeah.
they speak into this like metal heart to the crowd, and they have this really powerful couple of sentences, and then
Mhm.
boom, they awaken. But Stroll's might be my favorite so far. I feel like I have 3 party members unlocked, so and 4
Okay.
in total, including the protagonist so far. But Stroll's really sticks with me of like that was just so
Yeah.
powerful, man.
I've only seen Strolls and Hulkenberg so far, and I guess the protagonist. I think he has one too, right?
Mhm.
Um, but, uh, yeah, I mean, and there's just something about, like, Atlas's animation,
Mhm.
I just it's like they have some of the most beautiful animation in video games. Um, and these those scenes are just so dramatic, and I
Really
love
are.
like because yeah, it's like it mixes that theme of like the voice of the people, right, with
Mhm.
like the political side of it, but it's like the way they're like screaming their heart out into these, I mean literally screaming their heart out into these heart microphones. It's like it gives this kind of like rock star edge to it. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, uh-huh.
so it's just so cool. Um but I also love how like like, especially with Stroll's story, like it feels like there are stakes to this one,
Mhm.
and in a way that like the stakes are maybe a little less there in some of the other Persona
Mhm.
games where you're just like a high school kid. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, yeah.
like this is a fantasy world with like serious politics and like heavy stuff going on,
Sure, like, people
So
are dying in mass, there's, like, racism very blatantly,
and like
uh,
genocide and stuff like
and
that.
lots of
Yeah.
genocide,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's like it's and like I don't wanna make that sound like a joke. Like I think the game like handles those themes, at least from the 15 hours that I've seen, like really well and like
Mhm.
thoughtfully. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just cool to see like the power of these characters kind of like overcoming their traumas and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very mature story, and the characters that you play and your party members handle it very maturely and with a lot of like great writing behind it
Mhm.
as well. So yeah, like it's a great game. I definitely recommend it to anybody out here who has that JRPG itch. If you're a
Yeah,
Persona fan, this game is just I like it a lot, Pat. I might like it more than the Persona games so far, if I'm being honest with
interesting.
you. If it sticks the landing, it might be my favorite Atlas game so far. So
What makes you say that? Is it more the story or is it the mechanical stuff or all of it?
it might be all of it.
Mhm.
Definitely, I think I'd like Atlas's gameplay, or I like the Atlas everything about it, and also not being in high school. um,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
that god, that really is, like, the worst part. You know what I mean? It's like because
Yeah.
like, I really love JRPGs, but I am, like, not an anime guy, like,
Mhm.
I just I have a I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on this, but, like, I have a really low
Do your thing.
tolerance
Do your
for what
thing.
I call anime bullshit.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and, like, I feel like Persona has that a lot, like, a lot of the fan service and, the
Mhm.
fact that it's like, it's like a dating sim, but you're high schoolers. It's like some of that is,
Right.
like, a little weird.
Just
Uh,
feels weird, man. It just
yeah,
feels
and
weird.
and I just want Persona 6 to take place at a college, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
and
even
I feel like
even
that's
a workplace.
yeah, and I feel like that's not a lot to ask for, at
Yeah,
least put us in college.
yeah, exactly. And I know that that's, like, a cultural difference in some way. It's like,
Sure.
I mean, clearly, these games are huge in Japan, so it's like they must be fine with it in some way.
Right,
But
right.
like as a Western audience member, it's like I don't know, it makes me feel a little weird.
Yeah, yeah. And it's hard to take the high school portion out of Persona. Like, personally, it's
Yeah,
hard for me to, like, you know, it's a dating sim. I'm still in high school, but I mean, it is what it is. The
right,
Persona games are still great, don't get me wrong.
right.
I love them very dearly. But, I
Speaking
mean,
of
yeah,
which,
it's just yes. Let's get into it, man.
yeah,
You've been playing
yeah. Well,
Persona 3 Reload.
yeah, yeah, and it's actually been a couple of weeks since I picked it up because I've fallen down the roguelike rabbit hole as I so often do, as you see with all the other games that I told you about. But yeah, I a couple of weeks ago, I just like randomly stopped into Best Buy while I was out running errands, and I saw that they had a physical copy of Persona 3 Reload for the Switch
Mhm.
or Switch 2. And it was they were selling it for like 60% off, and I was
It's a
like, all
sick
right,
get, yeah.
yeah. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll buy this for $30.
Mhm.
Um, and uh, it's been a really interesting experience because Persona 3 is like where all of that like social simulation stuff started for the Persona
Right.
series. Persona 1 and 2 were just more straight JRPGs. It didn't have the like social sim elements or any of that sort of stuff. So I like that you put these two games together because it's like not only is it like, they're cut from the same cloth, but it's like Persona 3 is like the original of this line of Atlas games, and like Metaphor is the most recent of this
Mhm,
line
that is pretty cool to
of,
think about,
of
yeah.
Atlas games, So it's like you can kind of see the differences in where they come at it. And what I've been really enjoying about Persona 3 Reload. Now, I will say, before we get any further into this, I have never played any other version of Persona 3.
Mhm.
So any of like the quality of life stuff or changes to the voice actors or anything like that. I know a lot of people have some strong opinions about some of that stuff.
Sure.
I don't because I never experienced the original. Um,
Gotcha.
but that all being said, I know that it is a game that is like a fairly faithful remake, or yeah, I guess a remake of the original in terms of like the mechanics and all that sort of stuff. Um, and it has been really interesting to kind of just strip back all the layers that Persona 4 and then Persona 5 and especially Persona 5 Royal and now
Mhm.
Metaphor have like added to the format, and just kind of see what it was like at the beginning.
Yeah.
Um and it's like a roguelike, which is really interesting in a, at least in a certain sort of way. Like in for Persona 3 more than any of the other games that came after it. Like it just has such a tight loop to it. Like
Mhm.
you wake up, you do some stuff at school, you go to Tartarus, get through as many levels as you can before you get tired, you go home, you do it again the next day.
Mhm.
And just that kind of like tight experience has made it like, I don't know, almost kind of addictive to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
now, I I do think hearing you talk about metaphor and like all the interesting ways that they have added to the format in the convenient years, it kind of makes
Mhm.
me want to go back to that. And this is why I don't finish games.
Sure.
Uh, but it because in some ways, Persona 3 does feel a little bare bones.
Mhm.
The uh, the the combat is a lot more simplistic. Uh, the social sims, like the one thing that you said about metaphor that I wanted to highlight was you said that you level up with somebody every time you hang out with them.
Mhm.
That is not the experience in Persona 3.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Um, And in fact, in Persona 3, like, I think compared to 4 and 5, like, it is so much easier to, like, just totally whiff a social
Mhm.
interaction, you know? Like,
Mhm.
'cause there have been, like, multiple times that I just, like, said something that, like, just made the other guy angry, and, you know, and it's like, "Well, you didn't get closer to him today, and you just wasted an hour,"
It's like,
you
"What do
know?
you mean?"
Yeah, yeah, so it's like some of that is a little frustrating, but then on the other hand, it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to, like, stay in that mindset of, like, role playing,
Sure.
I'm trying instead of trying to say the right things to people, like, I'm kinda just trying to say, like, what I wanna say, and, like,
Mhm.
what happens is what happens,
Mhm.
um, which I know isn't, like, optimum strategy for the Persona games, um, but it is, like, uh, I don't know, it's preventing me from going crazy, you know?
Yeah, sure.
Because
It's go
well,
ahead.
yeah, yeah, like, the thing that has always kind of frustrated me a little bit about the Persona games is that, like, the dialogue, uh, it doesn't really allow for role playing.
I was
It
just about to say that, yeah.
Yeah, it there is a correct answer, like,
Mhm.
in every single dialogue choice, it's more like a multiple choice test. Um,
Yeah, and so and, like, sometimes some of the dialogue choices, it really feels like, "Do you want me to encourage, like, this bad habit, and that's the
right.
right choice?" Like, is that
Yeah,
the
yeah, I
path you
mean,
wanna go down?
especially in Persona 3, I mean, like, there's this one confidant that you have who is hopelessly he's like a 16-year-old, he's just like you,
Oh,
he's a kid
man. Yep.
who is just so obsessed with his teacher and is, like, absolutely convinced that he's gonna, like, ask her out on a date and, like, it's gonna go great. Um, and I haven't gotten too far into his storyline, but it's like the only way to progress it is to say to him, like, "Yeah, man, keep
Yeah,
going."
dude.
He's
She's
like,
totally into you, bro.
"Yeah,"
Do it, do it.
and it's like, I don't wanna say those things to him, but if I want to rank up the personas that his confidant is connected to, I have to,
Mhm,
you know what I mean? So that has always
mhm.
been kind of like a little bit of a frustrating thing to me about the Persona games, that, like, I wish there were, um it's like what I want my dream Persona game is a game that has, like, the JRPG combat, but the
Mhm,
dialogue was more like from a Western RPG
mhm.
where, like, you're just choosing to role play, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And but it's like you can tell that the Persona games, like, really, really take more inspiration from that line of, like Tokimeki Memorial, like that,
Mhm.
the dating sims where it's like, there is a correct answer for every one of these choices, you know?
Right, right.
Um, and it's more like a puzzle than anything. And it's
Mhm.
like if you want, like, serious role playing, maybe the Persona games aren't for you, but it's like if you want the combat and all that stuff, that's where it's at.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, absolutely. I think that's one thing I liked about Metaphor too, is like, I don't as far as I know, and I think this goes for the whole game, I don't think there's any, like, dating
mm,
whatsoever. So, I mean, even if they did that for the next Persona game, like, just took out the
yeah,
dating sim altogether, I think I'd be so cool with that.
I did look into that, and I think you are correct that there is, like, all the social sims have been totally removed from any romance, or you know what I mean. It's like
Right.
you can only be friends with all of these people,
Mhm.
which, like, honestly, I'm fine with.
Yeah, cool.
Uh, it's like I don't need that kind of stuff.
So compared to, like, 'cause, like, I know you were a big Persona 5 guy as well.
Yeah.
Like, how is, 3 Reload comparing to that game, like, specifically for you?
Yeah, so, I do love Persona 5, but again, have never finished it.
Mhm.
Um, I got, like, 50 hours into that, which is only, halfway,
Sure,
um,
yeah.
which is basically why I never finished it, but, no, I mean, what I really do love about Persona 3 compared to Persona 5 is just, like, how snappy everything is,
Oh,
just
yeah.
it feels like everything moves at a much quicker pace, you're not
Mhm.
you're not getting stuck in, like, 90-minute long cutscenes that you
Mhm.
didn't expect and that you can't save in the middle of. That was honestly the biggest reason why I dropped Persona 5, because there were like so many nights where I'm like, okay, I have 2 hours to play a game, and then I turn it on, and it's like the only thing that I do is watch one cutscene,
Right.
and
Yep.
it's like, well, time for bed now. And it's like I had too many nights in a row of that, and I was like, well, I guess I'm just not gonna finish this. It
Guess
wasn't even
that
like
is
a
it.
conscious choice, but it was like there were too many nights in a row where I said I'm not playing it tonight, and
Mhm.
then you just forget about it.
And then 4 years later, I never finished it.
Exactly. But like it definitely feels like Persona 3 is more um, like willing to let you play the game,
Sure.
if that makes sense. Like there's still obviously a ton of dialogue, but it just like it just gets back to a point where you can save it much more frequently. And it seems
Mhm.
like that's a criticism that they have taken to heart in Metaphor. Like there's
Mhm.
just so many more like save points on the dungeons and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like for me, it's like I know that they don't want too many save points because they don't want the game to be too easy, and like I
Mhm.
get that. But for me, it's like I just want to be able to go to bed and turn my PlayStation off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not
Don't we
have
all,
to
man?
yeah, not have to worry about, like, leaving it on overnight and then there's a power outage or something.
Yes, yes. That
Yeah.
is something I'm definitely thankful for too in Metaphor that I've noticed. Like the save points throughout the dungeon, while not numerous and like all
Yeah.
over the place, they're there and you could like backtrack to them, and it's totally fine.
Yeah, it just feels like a little bit more, like, respectful of the player's time, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Mhm.
It, like, acknowledges that you're a human in the real world. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there is, to, talk about more, like, the merits of Persona 3 itself, it's something about just, like, how tightly tied it is to the calendar system. Like
Mhm.
I know we both like the podcast Into the Aether. Something that they always say is that Persona 3 feels like the only Persona game where the calendar system is directly tied to the plot,
Mhm.
and that feels like absolutely true. It's just like it's really interesting how the game is like really structured around this like one day at a time loop.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
in,
and
like, Persona 4 or 5, like, you would, like, pretty frequently have just, like, chunks where you just skip, like, 5 days at a time,
mhm.
you know?
Mhm. Yeah, this one did feel, like, very, like, structured around it, especially, like, every month there's a full moon, and every month there's gonna be a
Mhm.
new boss that you have to fight, and, like, it really goes at it day by day. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I never really thought about it that way, but that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
And I think all of that is kind of why I say that it feels more like a roguelike, and that's before we even consider the fact that, like, the dungeons are randomly generated
Right.
and all that sort of stuff. So it just,
Uh-huh.
like it feels almost like playing Hades or something
Mhm.
in terms of like how tightly it's structured around the loop, and that's the kind of that's catnip for me. So
Absolute crack for Pat.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's like the other three games that we're going to talk about for me today are all also roguelikes. So
Mhm.
it's like it definitely makes sense that Persona 3 has kind of bitten me in a way that the other ones haven't.
No, that makes a lot of sense, makes a lot of sense. I think I got pretty far into Persona 3. I think
Mhm.
I got, like, 1 month away from beating the game.
Oh, interesting.
Um, but one thing that I liked a lot about it that I think is, like, one of the main sticking points that for people who don't like it, the reason, like, they don't like it, but I really enjoyed, like, grinding in Tartarus.
Yeah.
Um, for me, what I would do is, like, I would do all my school stuff, but I would take one like full like real life day
Mhm.
of my time. It might even be 2 days of like just grinding in Tartarus the whole like that whole in-game night. So I
Yeah.
would like in-game, just stay in Tartarus for like 2 real life of my days, just grinding it out, like trying to stack those tarot cards that you get
Mhm.
from your social links, like finding the right combination of those tarot cards was like crack to me. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I really wanna get this one this night. I'm really trying to, like, grind for that one." Shuffle time is just, like, the best thing in any
Yeah.
Persona game no matter what.
Yeah, and they need to bring it back for Persona 6. It
Absolutely.
hurts my soul that Persona 5 got rid of the shuffle time,
I need
and
it, bro. I
and
need it.
replaced it with the absolutely incoherent demon negotiations
I
from Shin
I
Megami Tensei.
I don't know what they want. I don't ever know what they want. What do you
I'm
mean?
I'm convinced it's randomized.
It
Like,
has to be, bro.
I really don't think that there is any way to game that system.
Dude, I Googled it a couple times and
Yeah,
Google like didn't give me the the right answers or like answers I understood at least. I'm just
yeah,
oh
yeah.
my god, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, grinding in Tartarus was a ton of fun, and like you mentioned before, like Persona 3 is very snappy, just not just within like the context of like cutscenes, but like
Mhm.
getting in and out of battles is like
Yeah,
super fast, and it just feels like as opposed to like metaphor where you're like you gotta like think and like strategize. Not saying you don't have to think and strategize in Persona 3 because there are some tough battles for sure,
right.
but, like, especially in those sequences where, like, you're just grinding in Tartarus and the game recognizes, "Oh, you're just here to grind." It
Mhm,
makes those battles you're in and out super fast, you hit the enemy's weaknesses, you did an all-out attack, boom, you're done in 2 seconds, move
mhm.
on to the next one, and it's just, like, quick, 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 quick,
Yeah,
and, the music on top of that is so good, so
yeah.
it's like getting in and out of battles is fun because you got these, like,
Mhm,
really dope tracks, like, playing behind you,
yeah.
uh it's good. It's just so
Yeah,
good.
yeah, man. Can we just wrap up so I can go play Persona? No, I'm
I know,
kidding.
right? Alright, this was fun.
Alright, see you later.
See
But no, it's like and the music is absolutely like that's I think always been a strong point, for
Mhm.
the Persona series. I love how like hip hoppy Persona 3's music is. Like there's like
Yeah,
rapping
man.
and stuff, it's like Persona 5 just has like jazz, which I also love.
Mhm.
But it's just cool to, like, hear this kinda, like, more, like, modern sorta, vibe on the Persona 3 music.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, and it makes me curious, like, what the theme of the next one is gonna be. It's gonna be, like, EDM or something like that.
It's actually gonna be
Um,
death metal. They're it's just trying to appeal to me specifically.
this game is just it's Persona 6,
Yeah.
Patrick Kernan.
Yeah, no one else is gonna like it, but I'm gonna be really into it.
You're gonna send all their tracks to our Discord every
Yep.
day, be like, "Guys,
And no
no one else
one
is
will
gonna listen
answer
to this."
them.
Love it, love it.
Yep.
Yeah, do you have anything else to say about, Persona
No,
before we
no,
give it
I
this
think
grade?
I mean, like I said, I'm not super far into it at this point. So most of what I have to say is kind of more on the mechanical side of things than anything.
Mhm,
But no, I'm really enjoying it so far, and I'm excited to see more of it. And just I guess one last thing, the
mhm.
reason the Switch 2 version was on sale is because no one bought it because um, when it first came out, it was like the Switch 2 version was specifically really buggy.
Mhm.
Like it had like apparently some major performance issues. There has since been a patch, and none of those issues exist anymore. But
Nice.
still, no one has bought the Switch 2 version, so it seems to go on sale more often than the rest.
Dang, I'm gonna have to keep
So
an eye out for that. I'd
yeah,
love to have a physical
if
version.
you're interested in it, I think that's the route to go.
That'd be sick, and it runs pretty well now?
Yeah, no, I've had absolutely no issues whatsoever. But I saw
Awesome.
videos of, like, what it looked like on launch, and it
Mhm.
looked bad. So
Oof.
so,
Oof.
yeah, they have, like, really, really fixed it. So, yeah, use that to your advantage and maybe get it on sale.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye out for that. Cool. Yeah, why don't
Cool,
we take our first break, and then we'll come
cool.
back with, like, the roguelike section
Yeah,
of what's going on
absolutely.
here. Alright, BRB. Alright, ladies, gentlemen, theys, and thems, we are back. Uh, Pat,
Yes.
again, you're a roguelike addict. You just
Mhm.
love upgrading, going in there and doing your run once again to fail, come back, upgrade, and go and do it again. You've got two roguelikes coming up for us. Two I've never played before, but I'm like
Mhm.
very familiar with, just like hearing throughout the years. So,
Yeah.
up first you got Spelunky. Wanna dive into that?
Yeah, yeah, and, honestly, I almost feel like I'm probably gonna talk about both of these at the same time,
Okay,
um,
yeah,
because
understood.
it's like I've been playing both of them, and they feel like opposites in some really interesting ways, even though
And
they're both, like, really important to the scene.
gotcha. And Rogue Legacy is the other one for the
Yes,
listeners that
yes,
didn't catch
exactly.
that one.
So first we have, Spelunky, which was developed by Derek Yu. and released by Mossmouth. Derek Yu is also one of the main creators in the UFO 50
Mhm.
series, and
Oh, cool.
Mossmouth also put out UFO 50. So yeah, there's that DNA in that.
Mhm.
And then the other one that I'm going to talk about is Rogue Legacy, which was released by Cellar Door Games back in 2013. Um,
Nice.
these games are both really interesting in that they are both like 2D roguelikes,
Mhm.
but they have such opposite approaches to that genre.
Mhm.
Um, and the reason I've been really into both of them is, as we said, we're both fans of the Into the Aether podcast, and they just
Mhm.
recently did an episode all about the Vita, and like a big retrospective of some of their favorite games from that time. And two of the games that they talked about were Spelunky and Rogue Legacy.
Oh yeah, the big
Uh,
hitters on the Vita, right?
oh yeah, oh yeah. Now I was super into Rogue Legacy at the time. But I actually never played Spelunky, like the original Spelunky. I've played Spelunky 2,
Mhm.
but I never played the original Spelunky until I bought it like 2 weeks ago.
Mm.
Um, and it has just been really interesting to see like these two like heavy hitters of the Vita now,
Mhm.
and to see like how they have both like really influenced the course of uh, the development of the roguelike genre, because they were both like really kind of early. Like now at this point, it feels like everything that comes out on Steam is a roguelike.
Yeah, everything's a
Um,
roguelike.
yeah, but in like the original free version of Spelunky came out in 2008, and then there was uh, like an official release in 2012, and then Rogue Legacy came out in 2013. So it's like these were kind of early entries into the genre.
Mhm.
Um, but So I'll talk about Rogue Legacy first, just because that's the one that I have more nostalgia for.
Mhm.
Because I used to love playing this on my Vita back in the day. Um, it is kind of like one of the uh, like first games to do the rogue light thing,
Mhm.
where you like after you die. I guess I should define what a roguelike is in case people don't know.
So let's
It's
get
a
into it.
Yeah, it's that concept that it comes the name of the genre comes from a game that was released in the 80s, like a computer game called Rogue, where the whole thing of it is permadeath. You if your character dies, you start the game over from the beginning, and everything is randomly generated, and you never know what's going to happen in
Mm.
there. So a roguelike is any game that uses those mechanics. Um, Rogue Legacy did a really interesting thing where it's like a 2D Metroidvania style um, action platformer, and it is one of the first games to kind of popularize the thing of like upgrading after you die. So there's
Right.
that sense of like permanent progression.
Mhm.
Spelunky doesn't do that at all.
Oh, really? It's
Yeah,
more in the roguelike.
there's yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow.
Spelunky, you gotta get good because there is absolutely no permanent progression.
Oh, wow, I didn't
Um,
know that.
yeah, and it is like a tough as nails platformer. They're both
Mhm.
pretty hard, but like Rogue Legacy, you can rely more on your permanent upgrades
Mhm.
to get better as you go forward. Whereas
Mhm.
Spelunky is just it's just you in the game, you know, uh, which I think is kind of like an interesting um, comparison point. Rogue Legacy does this really cool thing where so the story of it is like you are a knight who is, for one reason or another trying to um, get into this castle and kill all the bosses, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, right, right.
Um, but the thing about it is when you die, the next character that gets sent in is one of three descendants of your original character.
Mhm.
Um, and so you pick they have different classes. They could be like a knight or like a like an assassin that has like high damage, but they're like, weaker themselves.
Mhm.
Or there's some uh, you know other ones that are like, there's a miner that gets more coins or things like that, to increase your permanent upgrades. But then there's also a genetic trait system.
Oh.
Um, it's kind of like what you see now in like eugenics, where it's like, all of the characters can have like random uh, genetic traits that, like, some of them are improvements,
Mhm.
like um, like you're heavier, so an enemy can't knock you back. But others are like actual problems. Like there's vertigo,
Oh,
where
no.
it flips the entire screen upside down.
Oh my god.
And that's just like, and whenever I see a character having vertigo, I don't pick that one because it's like it flips my brain so much. And then there's other ones that like don't matter, like positive or negative. Like there's colorblind characters, and when you play as them, the entire screen is black and white.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it has that kind of like sense of humor to it.
Mhm.
Um, Whereas, like Spelunky is like it's the same character every time, and you're just trying to get as far as you can into the depths of this, um, these caves to find as much money as you can.
Mhm. Mhm.
But
What's your ultimate goal in Spelunky? Like, is it just to get to the end, or like you're stacking up this money for a certain reason, or
yeah, it's essentially just to get to the end.
okay.
I don't know what's at the end yet. But like as you get money, there are shops like as you go further in the run, so
Mhm.
you're able to use that money to buy upgrades or
Oh, okay.
health items or more bombs or things like that. But none of those are like permanent upgrades. That you lose them. Once you die at the end of the run.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
it's
So,
like,
like,
yeah.
the things you buy are only pertain to that run specifically.
Exactly, exactly.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, so you can get, like, better weapons or, like, spikes on the bottom of your shoes to do, like, extra damage when you jump on people, or, like,
Mhm.
one of my favorite items is, like, you get, like, sticky gloves so that way you can climb up walls like Spider-Man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
Amazing.
yeah, exactly, but it's like, um, it is just so brutally difficult, It's like there
Mhm.
there have been times where, like, I start a run and I'm dead 30 seconds later.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
and it's like, as long as you're okay with that, it's like I don't play these kind of games, like, I don't focus on them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I these are the kind of games, like I was saying earlier, that are like the podcast games or the audiobook games.
Mhm.
Or, when we're sitting on the couch, watching, some trashy reality TV.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
so it's like, as long as you are okay with the fact that, like, you know, it's going to be hard and you're probably going to lose, that
Mhm.
loop can be pretty addictive just to see, like, how far you get this time.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. I think that's one of my favorite things about roguelites as well. Just
yeah.
like, I know I'm going to die a million
Mhm.
times. I think I lean more towards like I like the light elements,
Yeah.
so I like having like those upgrades in between.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure I can enjoy a Spelunky as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, like just
Yeah, and
knowing.
well, it's interesting to be playing both of them at the same time, right?
Mhm,
Because, like, Rogue Legacy, like, yes, on the one hand, it's good to, get those permanent upgrades as you go, and et cetera, et cetera. But on the other hand, I'm pretty sure it's impossible to win on your first run.
mhm,
Like, I think you need those upgrades to get
sure.
to the end. Whereas Spelunky, like, if you are just, like, naturally talented, you could win the first time you play it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, it's kind of interesting to see the different ways that they deal with that.
That is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like thinking about it that way. Just like, death is essential for some
Right.
games. So it's just like to get those upgrades later on, you should
Mhm.
probably just go die.
Right, right,
Um,
exactly.
and what did you say earlier that I wanted to? to touch upon just like the run based nature of things. You ever find yourself when you said you can start up a run and die within the first 30
Mhm.
seconds. One of the rogue lights that I've been playing like semi recently is Absalom. And
Mm,
Absalom has a more kind of like a beat 'em up nature to it. Like that's the
yeah.
combat style, but at the end of the day, it's still a rogue light. So, but I'll have like really good runs, like runs that I'm getting everything right, I get as far as I can. But then I'll have some runs where I won't die within the first 30 seconds, but I'll
Mhm,
know at least like, 5 minutes in, I'm like, this run is gonna suck because
mhm.
I got the wrong upgrades. I'm at like 25% health already.
Yep.
So I'm like, maybe I should just like die right now so I can
Yeah.
start over and get a new run with some new chances.
Mhm.
Do you ever find yourself like doing that in either of these games?
Definitely more with Rogue Legacy because there
Mhm,
is more of that, like, sort of, like, upgrades as you go along and everything. The thing with Spelunky is that, like, everything can hurt you basically because
mhm.
one really interesting thing about Spelunky is that everything is a physics object,
Okay.
including, like, other characters that you see, um, and so it's like the entire world is, like, interactable,
Mhm.
with in some way, but that also means that you are also a physics object. So there's like
Oh, yeah.
heavy emphasis on like fall damage and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so there have been times where it's like like I set up a bomb to like blow up a rock so that way I can get through a path. Um, but I was too close to the bomb, and then it blows up, and then that's 1 point of damage for me, and it blows me halfway across the map, and I touch an enemy, and that's another point of damage, and then you fall,
Sure.
and then you die, and that's another point of damage, and now I have one, and because you start with only 4 hit points when you start,
Amazing.
so it's like I said, like 10 seconds into the run, I'm already at 1 point of damage, and it's like, well, I'm screwed. Might
Let's
as well just
start
start
this
over.
over.
Yeah. So
Amazing.
yeah, it is. Oh, you can hear my puppy barking in the background,
Aw.
but oh, stop that. Uh, the cat is bothering her. Um,
Aw.
yeah, they're not exactly the best of friends yet, but we're working on
Yeah, look at there.
it. But yeah, the thing is, it's like both games like have a really strong sense of humor to them,
Mhm.
and even like death can be like so startling that it's funny, because there have been
Yeah.
times where it's like in Spelunky, like I drop down a hole that like, oh yeah, I think I can, and then there's spikes that I didn't know that, and it's like, well, there's that's the end of that. So it's like I don't know, it hasn't been too frustrating for me, I find it to be almost humorous when I lose. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to have that just like environmental humor
yeah,
to add on top of the difficulty.
exactly.
You said you played Spelunky 2 before
Yeah,
Spelunky 1, right?
yeah.
How do those 2 compare? Like are you liking Spelunky 1 over 2 or
Yeah, so
anything?
I liked I got the second one on the Switch, um, just because, like, I heard so many people liked the first one so much, and then I got the second one when it came out. They are, like, fundamentally the same thing,
Mhm.
to the point where I kind of don't understand why there's a sequel. Um
Okay,
and
understood.
I know that's kind of like a common complaint in a lot of these roguelikes. Like people say that the same thing about Rogue Legacy 2.
Mhm.
I've heard similar complaints about like Hades 2. And I don't necessarily agree with that about Hades 2. I've heard people say that about Slate of Spire 2. It's like
Mhm.
why not just upgrade the original game more?
Right.
Um, Yeah, I definitely do feel that way about Spelunky though. It's like
Okay.
it's like maybe I haven't gotten far enough into either of them because I am really bad at them. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, I haven't really seen too much of a difference. But like I, I think they're both really great games. They're both a ton of fun. So
Okay.
yeah,
Cool thing. Cool stuff. I'm
yeah,
excited. I definitely do like the way you're talking about Spelunky makes me want to just like try it out just for the heck of it. Just like
Yeah.
this ultra tough, like, you're relying on your skills, as a platformer.
Yeah, yeah,
It's something
exactly.
that's really like piquing my interest.
Yeah, it's like if you remember, like, I feel like back in the day there was kind of like like, especially around like Mario Maker and whatnot, there was like a scene of people who were um intentionally doing these like way too difficult Mario levels and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um
Uh-huh.
yeah, so it feels kind of like the same sort of thing. It's like the only thing that you have is your own skills. Um yeah, so I don't know. It's been a lot of fun just to kind of see how far I could get into it.
I love that. I love that. Do you think you're like stick these out? Like, are you gonna try and see the end of both of them? If there is an
Um,
end,
uh,
whatever.
the, I think I don't know. I think I will stick them out in the sense they are both great games for like what I said to have as kind of like a second screen experience.
Mhm.
Whether or not I will ever get good enough at either of them to see the end is another thing.
Sure, sure.
But they are definitely going to both probably be in my stable for a little bit.
Good, good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I guess my last question, are these are games you're running on your,
Yes. Oh, yeah,
Steam emulator,
I
right?
didn't even mention that. Yeah, both of these are I'm playing both of them on my Thor, right now,
Nice.
through the Steam emulation. Yeah, and have had absolutely no issues with either of them so far.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Good stuff, man, good
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
That's
definitely.
Spelunky and Rogue Legacy, everybody,
Yeah,
if you're
and
into
Rogue
game.
Legacy is brought to us by, I think Travis, because, I didn't buy that one. That one's just in our, Steam family share, so
I love Steam Family Shares so
it
much. Like we've
it
talked about, it definitely introduces a ton of choice paralysis, but
yeah.
it's opened up a lot of games for sure.
Mhm, mhm.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Yeah,
Spelunky and Rogue Legacy, everybody,
yeah.
check them out. Speaking of, emulation handhelds again, Pat,
Yeah,
this
we're
next
going
one I
back
got,
into
we're
it.
going right back into it. So welcome
I
to
just
another hour
ordered
and a
6
half.
more.
And they're all from Amber Nick,
Yeah.
released within the last week. There is this, back in the day, I played, not back in the day, I think it was like last year or whatever. I played an Ocarina of Time, and I get so not confused, but I never know the difference between a recompilation or a decompilation. But all I know is that it was a PC port of Ocarina of Time that they ported to like, all other different platforms, so like Linux and Android as well. And with that, they introduced, a ton of different things. You could save states running at, natively at 60 frames or 120 frames, whatever, your system can handle. And it's basically just like it's not it wasn't emulating Ocarina of Time, but it was just like a PC port or an Android port of that game. So it was your system running it.
Mhm,
And it was fantastic. There's so many quality of life features, and I had a fantastic time playing through it. Recently, the same thing. I think this one's a recomp, but again,
yeah,
I'm not an
I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't
know
know the
either, man.
difference. Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is it plays well and I like it. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
but there has been a PC port of Twilight Princess that recently just came out that introduces kind of like all those same features. I haven't seen a save state feature yet,
Uh,
but I'm playing.
uh, I think there is, but I
Is
might be
there?
wrong about that. Yeah, there's a way to, like,
Okay.
bring up the menu while you're playing. Uh,
Yeah, I've dived in. I brought up the menu, so maybe I got to dive into it a little more. I haven't
yeah.
like got into it too much, so this segment will be a little shorter and faster because I kind
Yeah.
of just downloaded it and started up the intro.
Mhm,
But let me read off the intro on the website real quick so I can give some kudos. So it's called the PC port. They're calling it Dusk. So Dusk or Dusklight is the first PC port of The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. It was released by the Twilight Realm team on May 9th, 2026. It runs on Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Android, and even iOS, which I thought
yeah,
was really surprising. That's crazy.
yeah.
Um, Open source, completely free, requires you to supply your own legally dumped ROM disk, which is a cool thing that I think these ROM hacks slash like ports are doing these days. Is they're not
Mhm,
provide like you have to provide your own ROM,
Yeah.
just so they can stay afloat and not get taken down by Nintendo. So I
Yeah,
think that's a
yeah,
really cool.
exactly. And that's like such a good strategy for them because it's like um I should have prepped a little bit on this topic, but it's like that's like how you get around copyright law in the United States.
Hmm.
Because it's like as long like providing a system like that is legal as long as you are not also providing the ROM itself, you know?
That's sick.
Um, yeah, which is super super useful. There's like I remember there's a case kind of in the 90s that
Mhm.
established this. I forget like the case name. It was like Sony versus Bleem or something.
Mhm.
There's this company that was running a PlayStation emulator product, and Sony sued them. And essentially, that case worked its way all the way up and down the system, and the development was that emulation is legal as long as the ROMs aren't provided.
Right, and that's like that case right there is like the one thing keeping emulation kinda, like, going these
Yeah,
days, right? Like,
exactly.
yeah, that's I mean, yeah, that's it's it's a really cool like you said, it's a really cool way to get around the fact, especially in this day and age where Nintendo's
Right,
kinda just going after every
right,
emulator, it seems, legally and or illegally.
right. Yeah.
However it goes, but I mean, yeah, this is a cool way to get around it. Yeah, you provide your own ROM. Like all I did was I downloaded the APK. I plugged my legally sourced ROM into the program, and it did all the work around that. And yeah, it works like a dream. I booted it up. I had one issue in the beginning that you had as well, where
Yeah,
the girl's hair disappeared.
yeah.
Um, but I
And
updated the
I
ROM
actually
and it
look
went
oh,
away.
you did? Okay. Alright,
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
I saw other people posting the exact same issue online.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's the only thing that I've had, go wrong with it so far. I played it for about another half hour last night.
Yeah, yeah. That's like me too. That's the only thing I've had go wrong so
Yeah.
far. But like I said, I updated and went to that cutscene again, and it's all
Okay.
good. But
Like,
Twilight
updated the
Princess,
app itself?
yeah, the state of the app itself. So there was a
Okay,
new version on
okay,
their GitHub that I just
cool.
all I had to do was download it, install it, and it just updated. I didn't have to plug in the ROM again. It just kind of
Gotcha,
did everything
okay.
itself. It was really
I'll have to
easy.
do that later.
Yeah, yeah, but, Twilight Princess is one of those games, Pat, I've played the first du over the last 2 years, I think,
Mhm.
I played the first dungeon in this game at least, like, 5 different times,
Oh,
like, the
interesting.
dungeon with the monkeys, just because I
Mhm.
keep trying to, like, get into this game, but then I'm like, maybe I'll switch to the Wii U version. Maybe I'll go back to the GameCube version.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that." So I keep, like, starting this game over and over again, so I played the first, like, 2 hours of this game, like, 5 different times over the
Mhm,
years, but I think with this kinda, like, not complete version, but it's a really, like, dope version of the game,
mhm.
I think I'm gonna settle down and have this one be the one that I, like, finally see through to the end because it seems just like the most optimal version to play, at least on, like, a, emulation Android
Yeah.
handheld.
Yeah, 'cause it, like, has so many quality of life things, you know? It gives you, like, a lot of freedom of control over, like, you know, how, like, the camera works or, like, the
Yeah, yeah.
gyro works or things like that. You can play it at 120 frames per second, which is
Mhm.
something that I don't think has ever been true for a Zelda game before. Um,
Yeah, dude.
you know, so it's just really cool to see this game be, like, I don't know, brought to its, you know, most modern version of itself. Uh, I will say, I have a lot of nostalgia for Twilight Princess because it
Oh,
was
really?
my first Zelda game.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Because I didn't grow up with Nintendo systems.
Uh-huh.
Uh, well, I had a Game Boy Advance, but my parents bought me all my games, and they never bought me Nintendo games, you know, so
Sure.
they like, I had, like, all the other stuff on the Game Boy Advance. And I was, like, primarily, like, a PlayStation kid. So the Wii was my first console, the, first Nintendo console, so
Mhm.
Twilight Princess was my first Zelda.
Oh,
So yeah, that
nice.
means that, like, every other experience that I've had with Zelda has been kind of, like, through the lens of Twilight Princess.
Oh,
So
man,
it's
I
been
didn't know
kinda
that.
cool to, like, return to this, yeah.
That's really cool. So,
Yeah.
like, were you were waggling the Wiimote around and
Yeah,
all that.
yeah, exactly, yeah, 'cause, yeah, I remember my mom, stood in line, outside of Circuit City. Remember Circuit City?
Oh my god,
To
Circuit
get the
City.
Wii. Yeah, like,
Shout out.
it's a funny story. She, wanted to get me the Wii and everything, and she was just driving by Circuit City, and she saw this was back in that era when you couldn't get a Wii because they
Right.
were so popular. She just saw a line standing outside of Circuit City and just was like, "Well, that has to be for the Wii," and just got in it. Just was like, and then she was like asking other people in the line, like, "What are we in line for?" And like they
Oh
were
my
all like,
god.
"We think it's the Wii, but we're not sure."
Stop, bro. You get inside and it's just like
Yeah,
it's the new washing machine that
yeah, yeah.
everyone wants.
But thankfully,
Oh
that is how I ended up with my Wii because of that. So,
Shout out
yeah,
mom, man.
yeah,
Shout
for
out
real.
mom. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's just a cool story. But yeah,
yeah,
dude, having Twilight Princess as your first Zelda, that's awesome. And it's cool. I
yeah.
mean, like again, like I think this is like a feature complete one. And like you said, I didn't even mention like a lot of the cool features that come with this. Yeah, like high frame rate.
Mhm.
They introduced gyro aiming in it.
Yeah,
Free control of the camera through the right analog stick.
yeah.
Um, a bunch of other things. And it features I haven't gotten into this part yet, but, like, you can insert your own custom models if you want, so you can
Mm,
turn Link into, like, whatever custom model you want. I haven't, like, looked into how to do that on Android
Thomas the
specifically,
Tank
but,
Engine.
Thomas the Tank Engine, yep,
Goku, Batman,
Goku. See, you
all the
got it,
greatest hits.
greatest hits. Every Skyrim mod you can think of,
Yeah,
just throw
exactly.
the model in for them. But yeah, that's something I'm excited to dive into. I think I'll definitely be bringing this up during other episodes as I get farther
Yeah,
into it.
yeah, and you've
And
been doing your Zelda replay for a bit now.
yeah, and Twilight Princess was the next one on my list. And again, I played it like 4 or 5 different times, like trying to like find the version that I really wanted to finish. And I think this one will be the one that I finish so I can keep that retrospect going
Yeah,
finally.
awesome.
Yeah. But good stuff. How about we take one more break, Pat, and then we'll come
Yeah,
back with our last 2 games and wrap up.
cool. Sounds good.
Let's do it. All right, ladies, gentlemen, theys, and thems, we are back with our last little segment. We got 2 games for you here. I know mine's going to be super fast because it's something that I'm just starting up, Pat. Well, not just starting up. I played it a million bajillion times when I was 13 or whatever. But we'll get into that. You got Vampire Crawlers for
I
us,
sure do.
a new release, right?
Yeah, yeah, this is the new one from Ponkel. They
Mhm.
are the, makers of Vampire Survivors. So yeah, another roguelike.
Another
Um,
roguelike. Here we got a
but
theme. We got a theme.
specifically, I mean, Vampire Survivors was huge back in, like, what was that, 2021? I think it was,
God,
like,
it feels like forever ago
I
now.
know. It was, like, the first big Steam Deck hit, you know what I mean? It's like
Mhm.
it hit at the same time, and everyone said that it's like, "This is the justification for the Steam Deck."
Yep.
Um, which in retrospect feels kinda silly because it can also run on your phone, but whatever.
Yeah, right.
Uh, Vampire Survivors, if you haven't played it, is so much fun in such a, like, brain dead, brain off kinda way, you know what I mean? It's like,
Mhm.
you automatically attack, and just hordes of enemies come at you, and the only thing that you're really doing is surviving, right?
Right.
Like, just trying to dodge out of the way of them, and get to the end of the battle.
Mhm.
Vampire Crawlers is such an interesting swing for Punkle, because it fits into, the quote unquote universe of the first game, such as it is.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
and because it's like all the same characters, all the same items and everything. Like, as if you
Mhm.
know how the items work in the first game, they work the same way here.
Oh,
And
nice.
like combos work the same way here. But the game itself is entirely different.
Mhm.
Because instead of being like Vampire Survivors was, like top down sort of thing. You're just like one little guy in a field of millions of little guys, and you're just running around trying to avoid everything.
Mhm.
Vampire Crawlers is a first person deck building dungeon crawler,
Interesting.
where all of those items have been turned into cards.
Mhm.
Um, but it is so interesting because it's just so fast. Like I've never played a deck builder that is this fast before,
Mhm,
because the biggest thing about it is that like so every card has like a mana cost, right?
mhm.
Um, with the lowest being 0, and I've seen them go up to like 5 or whatever. And you only have so much mana per turn. But the interesting thing about it is that there's this combo system where if you play the cards in sequential order, like in terms of mana cost, so you do a 0 and then a 1 and then a 2,
Mhm.
every card like in that chain is stronger than it would have been naturally. So
Oh,
it's like
cool.
a lot of the times you're not even like looking at the cards, you're just looking at the mana costs, right?
Uh-huh.
To just, you know, blast out as much damage as possible. Because
Get
like
that combo meter up.
yeah, exactly. Because like a 3 mana card might normally do like, I don't know, 20 damage or whatever, but if you have it as the last card in a combo, it suddenly does like 150 damage,
Oh,
right?
sick. So is that always the sequential, like, the last card will be more powerful
Well,
than,
yeah,
like, the first
it's
one?
well, or even it that's always true, you know. So
Okay.
it's like so even going from 0 to 1, the 1 is more powerful than it would have been if you just
Okay.
played it on like out of a sequential order, you know.
Gotcha.
So it's like you're motivated to just kind of like blast through all these battles as quickly as possible,
Mhm.
by just picking the cards and going from there. So it's a really interesting spin on the survivor system. Um, I and it has made me want to play more like first person dungeon crawlers,
Mhm.
because that's like a genre that I don't have a ton of experience in. But I don't know. There's just something about it that is kind of appealing to me now.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it looks
yeah,
really cool. I love the art style, obviously. I
yeah.
love Vampire Survivors, and this is just like a new take on that,
Yeah.
but it looks really cool.
Unfortunately, I bought this one on the Switch too for some reason. I
Oh,
kinda
no.
wish I got it on Steam, just so that way I could put it on my floor. But
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah, it'd
great
be
game. Like,
perfect.
I'm not having any issues with it on the Switch. It's an incredible game, and it runs perfect, you know, so I don't mean unfortunately in that sense, but I
Mhm.
just kinda wish I bought it on Steam instead. And I might knowing me, might end up doing that anyway.
And knowing you, you might just do it actually.
Yeah, yeah, unfortunately.
As it goes.
Yeah.
Are you collecting cards, like, as you're battling? So, like, are
Yeah,
enemies, like, dropping
so
cards? Is that how you collect them?
every time you level up, you get more cards in your deck.
Okay.
And you level up after almost every battle and sometimes multiple times in a battle. And
Mhm.
you do, like, 10 battles per floor. And so,
Okay.
like, what on a run, like, assuming you successfully complete the run, it's like 4
Mhm.
floors, um, with a boss at the end of every each floor.
Okay.
So when you start the run, your deck only has like 5 cards in it, but by the time you get to the end, you've added like 40 cards to it.
Oh, damn,
Um,
jeez.
but yeah, and it's like one of those things where it's like every time you upgrade, just like a lot of roguelikes, it's like pick three or pick one of these three. So you
Mhm.
can kind of like build combos out from there.
Oh, nice.
So it's like, yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, I mean, you already know.
Right.
You probably already have bought this game if you're into that kind of thing. But I really, really heartily recommend it. And
That's
like
sick.
everyone loved Vampire Survivors. I think this game is like miles away better. Like it's like
Really?
so much
Really?
more interesting of a game. Because
Oh,
like
wow.
the Vampire Survivors is like you're automatically attacking. You know, like the
Yeah,
only
yeah.
thing you're really thinking about at any given moment is dodging.
Mhm.
This is like there's just like so many more layers of strategy. Like I think they really knocked it out of the park with this game.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. There's a bit more to it, maybe a lot
Yeah,
more to it, actually.
yeah.
Do you play as, like, different characters in this one? Like, are there different,
Yeah,
like, heroes like
yeah.
there was
So
for
so yeah, it's the same characters that you unlocked in Vampire Survivors. And like just like in that game, it's like each of them has like different weapons that they come in with.
Okay.
Um, so you know, depending on like um which one you pick, they do like different kinds of damages. And then that like affects how you strategize the combos and everything.
Mhm.
But the interesting thing about this one is like as you get further, you unlock the ability to bring multiple characters with you.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that leads to, like, really interesting, like, deck building
Oh,
combinations. Yeah.
party members.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
sick,
Yeah.
man. Yeah,
So
this seems like this would have you in a
oh,
yeah,
yeah.
in a very dark, deep rabbit hole. You and Travis, honestly, like,
Yeah,
might be
this game is why I stopped playing Persona 3. Because
understood.
I bought it on my Switch 2, and it's right next to Persona 3, and anytime that I boot up my Switch 2 being like, "Okay, I'm gonna play Persona," it's like, no, Vampire Crawlers."
No, no, no. You're gonna first person crawl around with some
Yeah,
cards.
yep.
Pretty sick. Pretty
But
sick.
yeah,
I
yeah, it's like I don't have too much more to say about it than that because I feel like it's kind of like a it's one of those games that feels like it operates more on the brainstem than anything, you know what I mean? It's like
I
you're
like
just
that.
kinda, like, running on instinct, but, like, if you're into games like that, it's a great one of them.
Sick. It's a glowing recommendation for the people who are into
Mhm.
these type of games. And like,
Yeah,
if you know you're into these types of games,
yeah.
you know you're into it. So,
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna change anyone's mind about this kind of thing, like, if
mhm.
you heard first person deck building dungeon crawler and we're like, "Ugh,"
Oh God.
yeah, like, it probably won't change your mind on that, but, like,
Mhm.
it if you are into that kind of thing, I think it's, like, a really, really strong example.
Sick. I think, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories just did something to my brain, some irreparable damage when it comes
Mhm.
to cards and being introduced into gameplay where,
Yep.
cards and me in games are usually a no-go, but I mean, I like to be open-minded, so
Yeah.
I think I might check it out. There's a demo I think I could, like,
Yeah,
download.
and it's, like I think it's $10 full price, so
Oh,
yep.
easy. The baby.
Yeah, she's snorting. It's that's the downside of having a Boston Terrier, she does that sometimes.
Hey, listen, I do that sometimes too, so
Oh, that's true.
it is what it is. Sick, man. Vampire Crowler sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Why don't you tell me
Well,
about, your game?
I am. I'm going to. I thought about it, and I think I will.
Okay, cool.
This is a game. The game is Bully for everybody out there. Bully by Rockstar, released in God. Let me pull up my browser. When was Bully released? Bully Rockstar. Uh,
I'm gonna guess.
okay, go
I'm
ahead.
just gonna throw out a year,
Mhm.
2006. It just
Dude,
feels like
it was 2006.
wow, okay.
You're so
Yeah,
good at this. What are you doing?
that's crazy because it just
Jesus.
it feels like the kind of thing like, it couldn't have come out any earlier or later than that,
Oh my god,
you
you're
know what
so
I mean?
right. You're so
It's like,
right.
if they tried to put that out in, like, the 2010s, like, there would've been too many think pieces about it.
Right, yeah, this had to come out during the Bam Margera, like,
Yep, yep,
Jackass
yep, yep.
era of the world and everything. But yeah, I mean, for those out there, I'm sure everybody knows what Bully is, but Bully
Mhm,
is kinda like it was made by Rockstar, so it's a GTA-like. You control this kid named Jimmy Hopkins. He's dumped off by his mom at a like English style like boarding school called Bulworth Academy, and it's a really cool like simulation. Like you're going to classes, and every time you go to one of your classes, you rank up in a certain skill or whatever. And there's small skills like you unlock like stink bombs from your chemistry class. When you go to English class, you gain abilities to like talk to girls better, talk to people better, and stuff like that, little stuff like that. But the game, has a sense of humor, like you kind of mentioned earlier, Pat, that definitely
mhm,
could not survive any
yeah,
later than 2006.
mhm,
It's very crass. It's very problematic in a lot of ways.
mhm,
Um, but it doesn't go over the top in a lot of areas. It's just like stupid, like schoolyard things that would happen in an English boarding school, but obviously, accentuated and made a lot bigger than what
yeah,
it is.
yeah,
But it's an open world game. Again, you're in the first like 20, like the first half of it, you're confined to the school grounds, which I think is a really cool way to do it. So like
mhm,
you're just running around school like day in day out. Then eventually the world opens up and you can like run around town. But, I mean, this is a fun game that I played when I was like, God, like I had it on my PS2 when I was younger, and I
Yeah.
played it so many times. And this is my newest like emulation game that I'm
Mm.
playing when I'm not like streaming like my PC or anything to my portal. So, but yeah, it's a stupid fun little game. Have you played it at all?
I haven't. I have it on my Thor. I just haven't, gotten around to it.
Hmm.
It has always been kind of interesting to me. And just to like, I don't know, the idea of like the GTA style game, but like, I guess not kid friendly because it's very
Right.
much not kid friendly, but just like the like that like those mechanics, but you're not like a gangster. You're just
Hmm.
like a jerk.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Um, but like I wanted to ask you kind of like about the humor, like something about like I feel like Rockstar has kind of always had this approach to humor where they're like, it feels like their thing is like we are making fun of the bad people by pretending to be the bad people. Like, do you think that's
Right.
the tone that they're going for here?
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Yeah,
the that's exactly what it is. Like Jimmy
yeah,
Hopkins, he's a bad kid, but he has a heart to him, so you kind of
yeah.
relate to him. But you're surrounded by like there are four different. They're called like I don't know what they're called, but there's four different very distinct social groups. Maybe it's
Mm,
five in the school, and like they're very accentuated. So there's like the preps, which are like
mhm,
the rich kids. There's the bullies. There's the jocks, which are like the dumb. They're all like dumb football players. The nerds, obviously. And yeah, like you said, they make fun of these people by putting you in the shoes of one of these people that can like go around and
yeah,
interact with all these people. But yeah, that's exactly what there's a lightheartedness to it.
mhm,
Um, but again, this is like one of those games I'm like, I have like 2 minds about it, like, "Oh, I wish there was like a remake to this game, like a modern day remake," but then I'm like, "Actually, I think this game should probably stay exactly where it is and
yeah, yeah.
and not come back."
It almost feels like if they were ever to do a remake, it would have to be more like a reboot.
Yeah.
It's like just kind of build it from the ground up with like 2020 sensibilities.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and it's like, I don't think this game is made this game is it is what it is because it is what it is,
Right.
unfortunately, and I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
what it is should survive any later, and I don't think it could be made into something later on. Like, even, like, this game compared to, like, GTA 5 has its own, like, sense of humor as well, but I
Yeah.
think this game, even compared to, like, GTA 5, they're just, like, 2 totally different, like, senses of humor,
Mhm.
types of games where, the people that know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
just
because
like,
it does you can tell in GTA 5 that they are trying to do social commentary, you know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like, I don't we can agree or disagree on how successful that is sometimes, and it's
sure.
probably like a case-by-case basis in a lot of GTA 5's examples, but, like,
Mhm.
do you think that that's what they're trying to do in Bully, or do you think it is just, like, shock humor and everything?
I think it's just all shock humor. I don't
Okay,
think there's
alright,
one lesson you should take from this
okay.
game. I mean, maybe that you should,
Not be this kid.
not be this kid.
Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, it's really like it's all jokes. It's,
got
never
it.
take it seriously whatsoever. The main villain of this game is some kid that like wants to rule the school or whatever, and that's his main
Mhm.
motivation, and he like betrays you and you have to like go and take him down. And it's really like this game is just like it's like you said, it's just shock humor. It's just, this is a fun little fart joke to play every now
Yeah,
and then.
yeah,
It is what it is, and I like that it is what it is, and I like that
right.
it's gonna stay where it is and never come back, and I'm gonna go back and enjoy it every now and
Yeah,
then.
yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I mean, that's bully. Maybe I'll just leave that where it is and let things be where they be.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Alright.
I definitely gotta check it out at some point. It's
You
it's sitting
should.
there on my Thor, but, so are, a terabyte's worth of other games, so
It's one of those games that I
yeah.
think you should at least play at least like 2 hours of. And
Yeah,
then in those first 2 hours, you'll see exactly everything you need to see. And if you
mhm,
like it, go forward. And if not, that's totally fine too.
awesome,
Oh
cool.
yeah. Cool. Pat, thank you so much for joining me on this
Absolutely.
podcast. This has been a ton of fun to sit back and talk games with you, my man.
Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll love to come back when, Dan is here sometime too.
Yeah, we can have like a little triage or whatever they call it.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Everybody, thank you for tuning in to Double Kick. You can find us on Instagram at Double Kick Games. You can find us on all major streaming platforms. Give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple. It really helps discoverability of the podcast. You can find our website at www.doublekickgames.com. All of our links are over there as well. And yeah, Pat, once again, thank you for joining me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for
All
having
right.
me.
Of course, I'll talk to you later.
See ya.